All right, guys, welcome today, Mr. Handicapler podcast on June 7th. Today, I got my good longtime friend, handicapper as well, and sports fanatic, Ghostman Rob.
Yeah.
All right, today we're just going to go over a few NBA things, some breakdown hockey, and kind of look at some futures and Stanley Cup lines, as well as with NBA Finals. So we're going to start out with the East today, and we're going to talk about with NBA. We'll talk about the Sixers Hawks series. That game one was pretty crazy. Trey Young had a phenomenal game. He's continuing his streak of just lighting it up after absolutely going crazy in New York with the Mecca there. And he had a 35-point game his first game, two rebounds and 10 assists. And then combating that was Embiid with a 39, 9, and 4 game with that meniscus injury still lingering.
Yeah, I mean the Hawks looked really good, especially the first three quarters. I don't know what happened those last 10 with the almost probably would have been the biggest collapse in NBA history right there. It could seem like they couldn't even get the ball past half court for a couple minutes. And yeah, I think the Sixers really got I honestly think the Sixers are more talented. So I think they just need to step up their game. And B needs to continue to do what he's doing.
I think Simmons is going to play a big factor too in this his whole free throw story now.
Yeah.
Shooting 3 for 10 game one, that's atrocious. Not going to cut it at all. It's going to turn into a late game liability. I think it's going to be like a hack of Simmons kind of deal. And especially when they're playing in Atlanta as well, they're going to be haggling him from the fans' perspective and everything, chanting all sorts of shit just to get in his head even more. And even when he walks up to the free throw line now, you can see he's got zero confidence in himself. He just looks terrible at the line completely.
Yeah, as disappointing as he was, and as the Sixers were as a whole, I still think that they're the better team, and we'll figure it out and win the series. And I think that's why you see them still as favorites. If you want to touch into that,
Yeah, so the series price right now after the Hawks up 1-0 in the series, they're actually a plus 114 dog for the series price, and the Sixers are a minus 130 favorite to win. So I kind of see a little personally, I see a little bit of value in the Hawks with that plus 114, especially if they could steal game two. But if Sixers kind of get their shit together a little more and kind of play like they should have been playing, then Sixers can definitely come back and win the series with ease. Then again, though, Trey could also pull Steph. I mean, he's like baby Steph now. People are calling him, and if he's going to be going off like that, then they're going to be hard to stop. I'll tell you that. Anyway,
yeah,
staying in the East, though, we're going to move on to this Bucks Nets series. Probably one of the most entertaining, higher powered series the NBA has seen in years between this big three and the Nets with Harden, Kyrie, and KD, and then the Bucks with their Giannis, and then I would call them a medium three, I guess, with Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. That addition of Drew Holiday has been phenomenal. I mean, he's fit in perfectly. He's helped the Bucks excel and elevate their game to another level that I kind of think they needed to do as a Bucks fan. But the price on this series right now is the Bucks are plus 169 and the Nets are minus 192. Obviously, that Harden injury is playing a big role, and I think the Bucks are going to steal game two personally. But you want to touch into that a little more, Rob?
I did too, and I think that the line is really interesting because I feel like Vegas knows something that the public doesn't. Because I feel like um, with the Nets being up 1-0, you would assume they'd be um, a higher favorite than they are right now. So it kind of is making me lean a little bit towards the Bucks, and especially if they can get tonight. I think tonight is going to be a big,
Yeah, game
big,
two. Game two is going to be
big
big.
game.
If Bucks can steal game two, I think, which in order for that to happen, I think all three, Giannis, Chris, and Drew, need to have big games. Especially controlling the glass in this series. I mean, the Nets not being that big of a team. I think Brick Lopez rebounding is going to be essential, and Giannis putting up, I mean, his normal 10 to 15 boards a game is going to be key in their win. But
Yeah, I just
moving,
don't. I just, despite the odds, personally, I just don't see how you stop the Nets even with Harden out. I mean, you got probably the greatest offense of all time with three elite scorers if Harden is two if Harden's not playing. And then on top of that, you got Joe Harris, probably top 5 3-point shooter spotting up in the corner. I personally don't see how the Bucks are gonna keep pace, but the series line is what is keeping me having a little faith in the Bucks.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like you said, too, they have too much offensive firepower. This team can put up 150, 200 points even if they wanted, to be honest, I feel like. But moving on to the west side of the NBA right now, we had a crazy game seven the other night with Luca versus Kawhi. Luca had a phenomenal stat line 46, 7, and 14. Sadly, Kristaps couldn't pull his weight as much. He had 16, 1, and 11. And that's with 0 from 5 from 3 point range, which is not going to cut it. And Kawhi was going Kawhi robot mode. I mean, Kawhi is nothing else to say about him. He had a 28, 10, and 9 game, just near triple double. Paul George, playoff P wasn't there. It wasn't pandemic P either. It was good old Paul George having a great game, 22, 6, and 10. That's pretty consistent as long as Kawhi's dominating, taking over that lead position. I mean, the Clippers look phenomenal. How do you feel about that, Rob?
Apparently, Twitter was blowing up Kristaps last night. He's now the new playoff P, pandemic P, whatever you want to call him. Kawhi, like you said, just a monster. Me personally, I've always been a huge Kawhi fan. I think he's the best player in the game right now. When you account all-around game, just his defense is just as valuable as his offense. And I think I told you and a couple of our other buddies when they went down 3-2, and when they were being counted out, I feel like that's when Kawhi just flourishes every time. Like he wins right when you count him out is when he wins.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this momentum is going to carry over heavily into this next series with the Clippers and Jazz. And that series line is actually Clippers are plus 112 in the series and Jazz are minus 128. I see a lot of value in the Clippers as a dog in this series. I know the Jazz are the best record in the NBA regular season and whatnot, but I think Kawhi has really turned up the Jets and he's kind of taken over that assertive role as being the number one man and not really relying too much on Paul George, but kind of just dominating and taking over himself on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I see the same. I think last night, going back really game after game, last two games really, we saw Toronto Kawhi, just him not deferring to anybody, which is what we kind of saw in the bubble, which I really think is where they ended up losing, where they let the Nuggets get back in the series and ultimately beat them in the series. Because I feel like Kawhi, when he wants to, can take over any game. He's so laid back. It just sometimes he doesn't. But I feel like if he continues to do what he did at the end of that series, I feel like I honestly think the Clippers are not only going to beat the Jazz, but they're my favorite to win it all right now, despite the great Nets on the other side.
Yeah, and also on the West, we have the Suns and Nuggets preview right now. I mean, that's going to be one of the most entertaining series of this year as well. With all these young teams, the Suns have been the team of the year so far. I mean, they're the talk of everyone. You know, they got Chris Paul addition, Devin Booker's playing out of his mind. Ayton has elevated his game to a pretty good level for only a I believe second year, third year. What is he?
Third, I think, second.
Well, I believe
Third.
believe third or second year, but he's really elevated his game. He's averaging over I think 11 rebounds in the playoffs, which is phenomenal. And he's going to have his biggest challenge yet facing the MVP Joker. I mean, it should be an interesting matchup. I think for the Suns to really take this series, they're going to need a big defensive from DeAndre Ayton. I mean, he's going to have to stop one of the most unguardable players in the NBA. Even though Jokic is going to be getting double teamed, he's still going to find ways to make shots off that little one-legged fadeaway, or if he's doing a no-look pass across the court. Who knows? It's Joker. He's going to be putting up crazy numbers regardless, I think. And that series is actually opening up with Suns as a pretty heavy favorite, minus 203. And Nuggets are plus 177 in that series. How do you think that's going to sway that series, Rob?
I kind of agree with the line just because I just feel like with Jamal Murray, that the Nuggets just aren't going to have enough to keep pace with the Suns. It's kind of sad as a basketball fan because I feel like if Jamal Murray was playing, we'd have one of the most electric series with young superstars.
I agree.
Setting the tone for the future of the NBA. But like you said, I love the Suns. Chris Paul, one of the greatest players ever to not have a title. So part of me rooting for my North Carolina boy to get a title before it's all said and done. Devin Booker, love that man. He's a savage. And
Absolutely. And going back to what you're saying about the future of the NBA, I mean, on the other side with the Nuggets, they have Michael Porter Jr., who's been playing phenomenal lately too. And I think he's going to be the basically the main key for the Nuggets in this series if they want a shot. They need him to be very aggressive, take over a lot of games because most of the attention will be on Joker. Let's be real. I mean, MPJ is going to have to step up, make shots. Last series, we saw Monte Morris even step up, make some really big shots, have some big games. But they're going to need that consistency out of them if they want to beat this talented Suns team, especially with their coach, Monty Williams, who's one of the greatest coaches in the NBA currently. I mean, he's phenomenal. He's going to definitely find ways to slow down Joker, not stop him, but we'll slow him down a little bit. But that series should be electric, pretty fast-paced, fun series to watch, I'm sure.
what are your What are your thoughts about the final 8 in the NBA? Like being 8 teams that, if I'm saying this correctly, I'm pretty sure the Sixers are the last one to win the title, and that was I think in the 80s or something like that.
Yeah.
So we don't have like the same powers we've had for the years. The Spurs, the Lakers, Celtics,
Warriors dynasty lately too.
Warriors.
It's fun to see all these new faces and especially all these young bucks coming in. I mean, everyone's playing phenomenal basketball. You're seeing all these first, second year players out of college, and they're putting up 25 points a game in a playoff game, and you can't feel better than that. That's awesome. I mean, it's definitely fun. This has been probably the most fun playoffs I've watched in the last 10 years or so. Most entertaining. And I feel like although the Nets are the super team and whatnot, I feel like it's so open still, either in the West and East. I think anybody really has a shot at winning this championship this year.
Especially because as great as the Nets are, they have 3 guys that have questionable injury history, and Harden has a questionable playoff resume in general. So
yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
I don't know. I don't think it's set in stone that although they probably should be the heavy favorites on paper, like you said, I still don't know if they will get it done.
I agree. So who do you I know you said you have the Clips winning it all this year. Who do you got coming out the East facing the Clippers?
As much as I do want the Bucks and think they have a better shot than people are giving them credit for, just based off the line, I do think the Nets ultimately will get it done and beat the Sixers. I have Sixers over Hawks as well, and then I have in the championship the Clippers beating the Nets in 6.
All right. I like that. I like the Clippers. I'm backing you a little bit on the Clippers there. I really think they'll come out of the West as well. I think they're going to be Clippers, Suns, and I think they're going to give them their run for their money. I think it might go 6, 7 games even. Ultimately, though, Kawhi is too good, I think, personally, unless Devin Booker's putting up 45 a game, 40 a game. And I mean, other than that, I really can't see the Suns beating the Clippers, man. I'm big on the Clippers with you as well. Kawhi he's composed, he's poised, he's in his mode right now, and he's the best two-way player in the game right now. Coming out the East, though, I'm definitely gonna. Man, as a Bucks fan, it really hurts, but yeah, I'm gonna agree with you, man. I'm taking the Nets. I don't see that team losing like many games at all. They have too much offensive firepower. Everyone questions maybe their rebounding, and they might not be as big and this and that, but they're too much offensive firepower. They're going to be a big threat and a big problem for anyone. A matchup nightmare completely.
The one thing I will be interested to see is if the Sixers figure their stuff out and can get past the Hawks. I wonder how the Nets will match up with Embiid, just because I don't think they have
anyone to stop them.
Right. Yeah. So I honestly think the Sixers probably match up with the Nets better than anybody just because of that.
I agree 100% with that.
And Ben Simmons has length and good defender.
Yeah, once again, I think that Simmons free throw shooting is going to be a big storyline in this whole playoffs with the Sixers for sure.
Mm-hmm.